What does 24 hours in the Stone Age look like? If you're thinking of a brutish, hairy guy named Ugg, who lives in a damp cave, hunts with a big club, and spends his day grunting, you're not alone. That's the image we've all been sold. But what if I told you almost everything you think you know about the Stone Age is wrong? That our ancestors weren't just surviving, they were thriving. They were innovators, artists, and scientists. And there's one mind-blowing secret about their caves that could change how you see humanity forever. But I'll reveal it at the very end. Today, we're not just going to spend 24 hours in the Stone Age. We're going to expose the myths and reveal a reality that is far more sophisticated and far more human than you've ever imagined. Our day begins before the sun, not in a cave, but in an engineered home. For many in Ice Age Europe, caves were sacred spaces, not living rooms. The real family home was a structure like this, a marvel of engineering, built from the bones and tusks of woolly mammoths, insulated with animal hides. The first and most important job of the day isn't finding food. It's this, the fire. This is the heart of the community, and making it wasn't simple. They were masters of chemistry and physics, using flint and iron pyrites to create a spark, or a bow drill to create heat through friction. This wasn't just about warmth. The fire extended the day, provided protection, and created this, a living room. A stable, well-lit space where language, stories, and culture could be forged. Which brings me to the shocking truth about what they really ate around that fire. And trust me, it's not the massive steak you're imagining. But what they ate around this fire is the first big shock. The Paleo Diet myth is just that, a myth. Yes, they ate meat, but the foundation of their diet was an incredible variety of plants. Fossilized plaque on their teeth and charred food remains show they were eating tubers, nuts, seeds, and even wild grains like barley, which they ground into flour. And they weren't just eating raw ingredients, they were chefs. We have evidence from 70,000 years ago of complex, multi-step recipes. They would soak and cook bitter plants to remove toxins and mix ground seeds with wild mustard and wild pistachios to create flavorful, palatable meals. This is the birth of cuisine. Their breakfast isn't a giant hunt. It's likely leftovers from last night's stew, or a type of porridge made from that freshly ground flour. Comment below, what's the weirdest ancient food fact you've heard? Drop it now. After the meal, it's time for the morning meeting. This is an egalitarian society. Decisions are made as a group. And here's another myth we need to bust. The idea of man the hunter, woman the gatherer as a rigid rule. It was a flexible, collaborative system. The women who gathered plants often provided the majority of the group's daily calories. Everyone had a vital role, leading right into the high-stakes daily grind that flipped hunting on its head. With the day planned, the group split off. A hunting party heads out, and this is where we get to the single biggest misconception about the Stone Age. Forget the club. That's a clumsy, inefficient weapon. The real game changer, the most revolutionary piece of technology for these hunters, was this. It looks simple, but this is one of the most important inventions in human history. It's a lever. By using the atlatl to throw a light spear or dart, a hunter could more than double its velocity and range. This allowed them to hunt massive, dangerous animals from a safe distance. This wasn't about brute force, it was about intelligence. It was about solving a problem with technology. While our Neanderthal cousins used heavy thrusting spears that required getting dangerously close to their prey, Homo sapiens used the atlatl to externalize danger. It was a cognitive leap. They also used brilliant strategies, like persistence hunting, relentlessly jogging after a faster animal for hours until it collapsed from heat exhaustion, something our uniquely human ability to sweat made possible. If you're still watching, Comment atlatl power below. Let's see how many made it this far. But as high stakes as the hunt was, the most important work of the day was happening somewhere else. And it was being led by the people often left out of the story, which ties directly into the hidden industrial revolution that powered their world. This is the gathering party, and they are the true foundation of the group's survival. Their work provided the reliable, diverse stream of calories that buffered the community against the frequent failures of the hunt. This wasn't aimless wandering. These people possessed a deep encyclopedic knowledge of the local ecosystem. They were walking databases of botany, seasonality, and geography. They knew which plants were edible, which were medicinal, and which were toxic. Children learned at their mother's side, absorbing hundreds of plant names, the layout of the land, and the complex social skills of working as a team. This was the economic and educational core of the community, and the camp itself has become a workshop. This is the first industrial revolution. Creating a stone tool is a science. It's called flint knapping, and it requires a deep understanding of physics and materials. They use different techniques to produce a whole range of specialized tools. Razor-sharp flakes for butchering, scrapers for preparing hides, and tiny, sharp burins for engraving art. And over there, one of the most complex and smelly jobs, tanning a hide. To turn a raw animal skin into soft, durable leather, they used a process called brain tanning. They would soak the hide in a paste made from the animal's own brain. The fatty acids in the brain would saturate the collagen fibers, keeping the leather soft. It was a multi-day, physically demanding process of scraping, soaking, stretching, and finally, smoking the hide to make it water-resistant. The clothes on their backs, the roofs over their heads, it all came from this intensive labor. As dusk falls, the hunting and gathering parties return. The hunt was a success, a large reindeer. The mood is celebratory, but what happens next is the key to their entire society. The successful hunter doesn't claim the kill for himself. In a world of uncertainty, the bedrock of their society was sharing. It's a system called generalized reciprocity. The food is shared among all members of the band, ensuring that the young, the old, the sick, and those who were unsuccessful that day all get to eat. Hoarding or boastfulness would have been social suicide. This is what bound them together. With full bellies and the day's work done, you might think it's time for sleep. But this is when their world truly comes alive. This is when they prove they were the original affluent society. Anthropologists have suggested that these hunter-gatherers had more leisure time than the agricultural societies that followed them, and even more than many of us today. And they filled that time with culture. In a world without writing, storytelling was everything. It was their library, their encyclopedia, and their moral compass. And there was music. Archaeologists have found exquisitely crafted flutes made from bird bone and mammoth ivory that are over 40,000 years old. They created art, carving intricate figurines and making beads from seashells for personal adornment. This wasn't just a hobby. The simultaneous emergence of art, music, and personal adornment signals a profound cognitive event, the birth of a shared, abstract reality. A necklace communicates identity. A story communicates history. A song communicates emotion. This is the foundation of modern human society. But hold on, because as the night deepens, we're heading into that cave secret I teased earlier, the one that might be the origin of human spirituality. For a select few, the day isn't over. They leave the comfort of the fire and venture into the deep, silent darkness of a nearby cave. These caves were their cathedrals. The journey into the earth was a transformative experience, likely used to induce altered states of consciousness to connect with the spirit world. The art on these walls wasn't art for art's sake. It was likely a form of hunting magic or a record of shamanic journeys. And look closer. Alongside the animals are thousands of abstract signs, dots, lines, spirals. These symbols are consistent across thousands of miles and tens of thousands of years. Some researchers believe they could be a kind of universal language of visions, or even the world's first calendars, tracking the seasons and the migrations of the herds. This spiritual life extended to death. They buried their dead with profound rituals, interring them with tools and ornaments, suggesting a belief in an afterlife. The skeletons of individuals who survived for years with debilitating injuries show us that they cared for their sick and elderly. This empathy, this communal ethic of care, was perhaps their most critical survival tool. As a new day dawns, our 24 hours in the Stone Age comes to an end. What we've seen is not a life of brutish simplicity, but one of intellectual challenge, physical hardship, and profound social and spiritual depth. They were technologists, gourmands, artists, and philosophers. The foundations of our world, our capacity for cooperation, our reliance on technology, our love of art and music, and our quest for meaning were all forged in the crucible of the Paleolithic. The caveman is a myth. The reality is the resilient, innovative, and deeply human ancestor whose legacy echoes within every single one of us. Thanks for joining us on this journey. If you want to see more myths busted, make sure to subscribe and let us know in the comments what piece of history you'd like us to explore next. Stay curious.